Hi, Mike, and welcome to your first counseling session. I'll be your counselor. My name's Katie. And before we start, I just want to read something that I read through with all of my clients before we start a session, just to inform you. It's called informed consent. Dear volunteer client, thank you so much for scheduling this time together to perform a mock counseling video on this day, Friday, December 2nd, 2022. This assignment is for my Interviewing Skills Level 2 course that will be seen by my professor, Tracy Pritchard. As a student, I cannot provide legal confidentiality in what we discuss today, as this will be recorded and shared with my professor for review and marks. At any time, I can and will stop the recording and delete the footage at your request. It is within your discretion and rights to refuse to answer a question or to end the video at any time. Besides me sharing this footage with my professor, the only other item I would need to take further action on and disclose would be if you express that you wish to harm yourself or others. In that case, I may need to involve other professionals to help keep you and others safe. So now that that's over, do you have any questions about the statements I made or anything?
Nope, that's all good.
So, starting off, this is your first counseling session with me. I always like to find a little bit more about my clients. So, if you could just give me a little bit of background on you and who you are, and then we'll start from there.
So my name's Mike. Um, I do collision repair for a living. I fix vehicles when they're in accidents. My spare time, I like to ride bikes. I go mountain biking with my girlfriend. We take our dog for nice walks, and that's pretty much it.
Sounds pretty fun. So, you're kind of athletic. You said you ride bikes. Is there any specific to that? Like you said, mountain biking. So, that's
Yeah,
fun.
so we go mountain biking together, but I do ride BMX on my own.
Okay, and BMX, what does that stand for? Sorry, I don't know.
I'm not sure what it stands for, but
Oh,
it's like freestyle biking. Like you just kind of get to express yourself.
okay. So you do tricks, I
Yeah,
guess?
yeah.
Okay. I think I have seen that before. Is it X Games that it's on or?
Yeah, X Games hosts events for it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. So you like to get out with, you said your girlfriend. She goes with you.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, we go mountain biking together. There's a lot of really good trails around us, so we like to get out as much as we can.
Nice. I
Yeah,
think it's a really great way to get some exercise in. Um, that's always a really healthy thing to do. So good on you for that.
yeah.
Okay, so just starting off here, this is your first session. What would you where would you like to start? What is bringing you into counseling today?
So just like a little bit of a sum up on it, me and my girlfriend were getting ready to buy a van together, and we're gonna live in it full time year round.
Okay. Uh,
I'm a little excited for it, but I do have a lot of worries and whatnot about it. But hopefully you can help me with those today.
okay, so what I understand is you're going to buy a van and I guess turn it into a living space that you and your partner are going to live in year round.
Yeah, with our two animals too. So it adds a little bit more in my head going on there.
Oh, okay. So, your animals, what animals do you have?
I have a husky shepherd and a tabby cat.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Wow, that's interesting. I have heard of people doing this. Do you plan to travel in your van or are you just looking to have it as
Uh,
a home?
so we do plan to travel with it. Like her mom lives a little bit away from us, so it'll be night. Like I'm looking forward to be able to bring our home up there when we do go, because it is a little bit of a drive. It'll be a bit more relaxing with that kind of a sense.
Okay.
hmm
And then you said something about you're a little bit stressed about it. I can
More than a
understand
little bit.
more than a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so when you say stress, Could you give me a little bit of a meaning behind what stress means for you?
It just kind of overwhelms me and kind of takes my head from everywhere else when I need it to be. Like I'm having a little bit of troubles at work because I'll be working on something and then I'll catch myself thinking about negative sides of living in a van together.
Hmm. Okay.
hmm So it is starting to affect my all around life more than just, having the odd bad thought about it.
Okay.
hmm
All right. So you're thinking about the next steps in this decision that you've made with your partner, and you're kind of finding that you're fixating on more of the negative aspect of it. Does that
Yeah.
sound about right?
Yeah.
And you said you're finding it's taking away your focus even when you're at work.
Yes.
Hmm. Okay. So yeah, that's definitely something we can discuss together in this session and our other sessions that we have about that stress and the impact it's having on you, and maybe some ways that we can try and alleviate some of that. Does that sound like something you would like to work on in this
Yeah.
process? Okay. So you did say that you're noticing these negative things while you're at work. Is there any other times in the day or any other aspects of your life that you're noticing these negative thoughts coming up?
It comes and goes. Sometimes when I'm out riding my bike or just even driving, like they just kind of pop up into my head as worst case scenarios or what if this happens or what if that happens.
Okay. So if I were to give you a scale, so say one is not worried at all,
Hmm.
and 10 is very worried and can't focus on what you need to focus on to get through your life as it is right now. Where would you say you would be on that scale of these?
Maybe a 7.5 or an 8.
Okay, so it's pretty high on that
hmm
scale. So you're finding that it's getting in the way of some things.
Yeah.
Okay. If I were to ask you, what would need to change to take you from that high level of 7 to 8 to maybe say a few less or maybe get to a 5?
Mhm.
What would need to happen in order for you to feel that shift?
I'm not too sure to be honest. I feel like I just need to talk with somebody about it who isn't her
Okay.
because it's easy for me to vent my issue towards her and then her just no it'll be okay, it'll be okay, we'll figure it out, we always figure it out, it'll be okay. I
Okay.
just want to have more, I just need to let it out of myself more or less.
Yeah, I understand that completely. And that's a really great thing that you have gone this route. I think that's really healthy for you to do. And it is healthy for you to talk about this with your partner as well, because ultimately this does affect her too, because she's going to be living with you. This is something that you both are embarking on together. Um, looking at let's look at maybe some of the strengths that are coming out of this. So we've kind of talked about the negative aspect of going and living in a van. There has to be some good reason for it, or you wouldn't have come up with that idea. Is there any good aspects to this decision that are the reason why you want to do this?
There's definitely a lot of upside to it. Like I said originally, anywhere you go, you bring your home with you. You don't have to worry if you want to go out and have a few drinks with some friends, you're always going to be safe where you are. You're always going to have that little bit of safety, but with having that safety with you, you do put a little bit of a target on yourself towards negative things happening. But there's just so much positive that does come out of it. We'll get to spend more time together. We'll be able to go places together, and it'll bring costs of going places down.
Okay, yeah, those are some pretty
Mhm.
good aspects of this van life thing. Um, and I know it can be kind of difficult when there is negative aspects. We kind of, as humans, we kind of tend to focus on more of the negative side of things than the positive. Um, but I think it's really important to try and keep those positive things in more of the forefront of our minds. It is important to think about the negative side of things because that is how we protect ourselves, especially with a decision as great as this lifestyle change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Um, Let me just think here. So during this time, what would you say are some of your strengths as you are thinking about transitioning into this?
I don't get what you meant by that, sorry.
Okay, sorry, let me rephrase. Thinking on more of the positive side of things,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you think are your personal strengths when it comes to making this lifestyle change?
My personal strengths, hmm, I really don't know.
Are you planning on building this band yourself?
Yeah,
Or are you,
yeah,
okay, so you're gonna
we're
build it
gonna do it
yourself.
together.
Okay, so that could be a strength. Are you a handyman? You said you work in body collision, so
Mhm.
you do know a bit about vehicles and the inner workings of them,
Yeah, definitely.
and you're going to be building this yourself. So that is definitely a strength that you can draw upon during
Okay.
this time. I could see you having that as maybe a bit of a confidence booster when it comes
Mhm.
to the negative things. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Hmm. I am really looking forward to the time of building it together. It's like building a house, right? Just without all the large costs of building a house. You get to make those decisions together. Where do you want to put the bed? Where do you want to have our kitchen area? What kind of, organization do we want? I'm really looking forward to that stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah. So those are some
Mhm.
really positive things that you're bringing into this.
Mhm.
And that can be one of your goals, maybe, is to kind of look at it from that perspective as having options versus the negative side of things of not having options. Um, and just going back to some of the negative things we were talking about, what would you classify? What would you personally classify as a problematic thing in deciding to do this lifestyle?
Well, there is like small everyday things that worry me about it. Not like they're not at the top of my charts, but like the small stuff that I'm really worrying about is like, where are we going to do laundry? What are we going to do for bathing every day? We can get gym memberships and stuff like that, but it's just, you don't want to be those people that just go to the gym to shower because then people look at you funny.
Yeah, I can imagine that might happen.
And it's also tight living quarters. Like right now, we share a two-bedroom apartment together, so we do have that space for our stuff and ourselves. So it's just confining it all
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
compressing
guess it
everything.
would be a pretty small space to
Hmm.
try and keep all your possessions in, plus two people and two animals.
Exactly.
So, going back to your partner, obviously she knows about this decision because you're making it together and you've had this plan together. What would she say about this problem?
Uh, I'm not too sure. She is really nifty at figuring things like that out. She's very quick and she can figure things out very easily.
That's good.
Hmm. She's very nifty.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean by nifty?
She always has, like, she can always figure out a way to get around an issue.
Okay, I understand. She's a bit of a problem solver then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess her saying would be, we'll figure it out. That's what
Exactly.
I'm getting from this conversation. Is we'll figure it
Exactly.
out. Okay. But I can understand that we'll figure it out. isn't necessarily combating these negative thoughts you're having about this whole process.
Exactly, because it's just saying we'll figure it out and actually having a definitive plan are very different.
Yeah.
It's not like we're asking, where do you want to go for dinner tonight? It's where do you want to sleep tonight? Where do we need to use the washroom before we find somewhere to go to bed? What do we need to do before we decide to find a resting place?
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of different components that are now going to be introduced into your life. It's going to take some real problem solving skills to figure out all of the aspects of life that you wouldn't have in a normal house.
Exactly.
Wow.
There is a lot to it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it now. Like you do kind of take things for granted living in what we call normal living quarters, right? I'd just like to pose this question to you. Is there anybody else who knows about this problem? And what would they say about this problem?
There's not real like I've been talking to a few people about it that don't understand the concept of van life, so they don't really chime in too much. They just say it's your problem.
Mm, well, that's not very helpful, is it?
No.
Well, I guess we can't really rely on others to really understand where we are in our lives and the things we want to do. Um, I know it can be difficult to want to have some people to talk to about this, but they're just not willing or they just don't understand. But that's also another important reason why you've sought counseling. And I'm very glad that you have, because this is definitely something that can be quite stressful as I'm beginning to look into it more.
There is a lot more behind it. Those are just small issues that I'm having with the whole transition or thinking about transitioning and figuring things out.
Hmm.
Because if we did convert to van life, well, we're planning to do it either way. It's just I have a lot of worries about it. There's just so much that can go wrong that are just not little everyday problems. Somebody could steal our home, they could break into it. We could be halfway across the country and have like a big breakdown and have to spend a bunch of money or possibly take on debt because of it. There is a lot of large worries.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
So, if I could ask you this, when you are having these worries and these stressful thoughts, what does that look like for you in terms of maybe your inner thoughts, your outward expression? You said you're having a lot of these issues when you're at work. So, can you give me a kind of a sense of what this looks like as you're going through this?
It just consumes my train of thought. It's really all I think about. I have a very short attention span, so it kind of like it comes in waves. Like I'll think about it for an hour and then an hour or so will go by and I won't think about it. And then, 15 minutes I'll think about it and then I won't think about it. And then another 20 minutes later, I'll think about it some more. It just really scatters my already scattered brain.
Yeah. When you say you already have a scattered brain, what do you mean by that?
Oh, just my train of thought is always everywhere. I think I have ADHD as far as I'm aware. I would say I have ADHD. I have a very hard time focusing on things. So even when I do have negative thoughts toward things, they usually do go fairly rapidly.
Hmm. Yeah, that can be difficult. Have you ever been formally diagnosed with ADHD, or is this just an assumption you have?
No, just internet diagnosis.
The good old internet diagnosis.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, that's definitely something that can pose a lot of difficulty if you can't even if before stress you didn't really have the ability to control your thoughts. It's kind of what I'm hearing is they're kind of racing in this continual pattern, which I can is frustrating from. Is that the right word I'm using? Frustrating?
Very frustrating.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just go back to some of the strengths we were talking about. Who who in your life would talk about these strengths, and what do you think they would say?
Uh, I don't really have anybody, to be
Even
100% honest
your
with you.
partner?
Oh no, I could definitely talk to her about these things.
Yeah.
And I do talk to her about them, but it's always just nice getting it out to a fresh set of ears.
Yeah, of course. And that's
Mhm.
definitely I you saying that. So do you think we're getting to the issues you wanted to discuss today? Are we on the right track?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So why don't we start thinking about some goals that we can look at in terms of maybe managing your thoughts and the stress that you're having right now? Is there anything you can think of that would be like a good goal for you to set in order to try and manage these symptoms you're having?
It would just, I would find it easier if I could just kind of put my ducks in a row in my head and try to balance out negatives with positives.
Yeah. So I'll give you a little bit of a story. I also have some things that maybe my mind starts racing about, and I can't, while they're in my head, I can't really categorize them, as you said, getting your ducks in a row. Have you ever tried writing this down so that it's taking them from in here where they're abstract and bringing them out onto a paper where you can physically see them and read them out and maybe even make a diagram of the pros and cons of this lifestyle change? Does that sound like something you would be willing to try?
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Okay.
That seems like a good way to kind of put my ducks in a row a little bit.
Yeah. I know I find it kind of helpful when, especially when I'm dealing with some pretty taxing things like stresses, and because of this big lifestyle change, it can be quite stressful. And having it written down, maybe you can come back to it, and when you are starting to have these racing thoughts, you can have that journal out there and just look at it and keep adding to it, and yeah.
Mhm.
So that's something you would want to try as a setup,
I
setting
could
a goal.
definitely do that.
Okay.
It would definitely work, I think. It would help a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's about taking little steps towards
Mhm.
the major goal, right? Like sometimes when we're facing large things, it can be hard to minimize it and kind of, like I say, bite off more than you can chew.
Mhm.
Having it as a smaller components, building up to the larger component, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean there.
All right, so we have that in we'll say our toolbox. So we'll add that to our toolbox. Maybe writing a journal, and it can be as frequent as you like. It could be every day, it could be every week. Starting small can be a really good way to start this new habit and form this writing journal.
Mhm.
Is there any other goals you can think of that you would like to try? Maybe even this week. Is there something you'd like to try at work to kind of manage your thoughts? Is there anything that helps? Is there anything that helps now that,
You listening to music helps.
okay, so listening to music, that's good.
Mhm. And focusing on the music instead of, what I'm thinking of.
Okay, so is that something you're already doing?
Yeah, I do it sometimes. It helps me out.
Okay. Do you find that it works for you in helping organize your thoughts?
It does a little bit, yeah. It's not so much organizing, it's not drowning them out. It's just kind of distracting my brain.
Okay.
So instead of thinking about breaking down on the side of the road, I can just listen to a song and just actually listen to it and just enjoy that song.
I understand. Yeah, that's great.
Hmm.
Okay. So now that we've sort of gained some of your story, something I've noticed is on one hand, you are excited for this new journey, and there are some really great aspects that you noted about doing this lifestyle change, and you're happy about them. But on the other hand, you're noticing a lot of negative and it's causing you some stress.
Mhm.
So that can be kind of difficult when you have one positive and one negative, and you're
Mhm.
struggling between the two. Do you find that that is the main issue here is the difference between positive and negative?
I overwhelm myself when I think of negatives. Instead of thinking, well, if we're in British Columbia and we break down, we'll have beautiful views, I would think as, okay, we're in British Columbia and how many thousands of dollars is it going to cost us till we can get home?
Yeah.
Instead of taking the best scenario and going, hey, we're here, let's go enjoy the place while we wait to get our vehicle fixed or our home.
Yeah, I can
Mhm.
definitely see that as being kind of stressful, especially when you're in a new place that you've never been, or yeah, and like unexpected things are always an indicator for stress for sure.
Mhm.
All right. So here's a fun question for you. If I had a magic wand and could wave it and have all of these issues go away, what would that look like?
Just a solid written plan, I guess. just so I
So,
could just so I could see, okay, what are our options for sleeping? What
okay.
are our options for laundry? Where are we going to stay tonight? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. Hmm. I don't really see how we could plan that out as you said. It's kind of unexpected where this will go, but
Hmm.
there's always that possibility that you can write this out. Uh,
Hmm.
have you ever done maybe like looking at budget for this? Obviously, you've done some planning. Have you written out something that has helped you?
Well, there is an app that we've recently discovered. It's called Overlander, and it basically it's from other people that live this lifestyle, and they post places where you can sleep or like overnight parking where you won't get in trouble or bothered, or if you need to shower, here's a truck stop that has showers. There is things like that. It's just where we are located. It's very scattered out with those places.
Okay. Okay, so
Hmm.
there is some resources you can utilize. I see that.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, Mike, I think we've done some really good research into the issues you're facing and some of the really like good strengths that you have. You have a lot of strengths in this topic that you've chosen and this lifestyle that you've chosen. Um, in our next few sessions, maybe we can explore a little bit more about stress management and maybe finding new goals. Um, you could have it as a little bit of homework. You can kind of brainstorm. I know homework kind of sucks, but maybe you can brainstorm some more goals that you would like to have when it comes time to make this change in your life.
Hmm.
Does that sound like something you would like to do and
Yeah,
continue in these sessions?
yeah, I definitely would.
All right, that sounds awesome. Well, I'm so glad that we were able to figure some things out today and talk about anything else that you want to have. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we wrap it up?
No, you've been great.
Okay. All right. So why don't we schedule something again for next week? Today's Friday. Are Fridays good for you?
Yeah, Fridays are usually best.
All right. Around the same time?
Sure, that works.
All right. Okay, that's perfect. So I'll see you again next Friday.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike, and have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.